Our first date is when?
Is right. We just had it.
Did we?
Yeah,
was it a good one?
It was good.
Are we ready? How professional do I have to be during this interview?
What does that even mean, professional? Like, what can you not do?
Like, I'm just trying to figure out the boundaries because I'm blushing right now.
I can't tell.
Because I have a big crush. You're one of my favorite celebrities.
Oh, thanks.
I feel like I'm still trying to figure out what it means to be gay and what it means to be gay on TV and what it means to be black and gay because it's this whole thing. Right. I love how open and honest you've been this whole time, which is such a change from Hollywood.
There were plenty of long conversations that were had on who I was and how people were going to perceive me. And I still have those conversations, especially when it comes to gender identity and the more recent conversations that I've been having about non-binary and gender non-conforming issues. But I think that the industry has changed so much, even since I started, even in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
With Me Too, the industry has drastically changed.
100%. You've gone through this whole journey of self-discovery and you've not hidden one thing from anyone. Mm-hmm. You've done it pretty openly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How has that impacted your career?
Well, it started right here in a podcast. It started with the Love Bomb. I got sober from alcohol 3.5 years ago. I started having these conversations really seriously in my life. It was like, I don't want to say it was like one addiction to the next, but you know, from alcohol, I like moved on to these conversations about sexuality and gender. And it was just like, I became obsessed with trying to pick it apart and figure out why we're here having these conversations. I mean, I just decided if I was having these conversations in my own waking life, why not share?
Look, I am so like, I'm dripping on every word right here. You mentioned being sober for 3.5 years. Yeah. What was that journey like for you to get sober? Like, what were you...
From alcohol specifically. I still smoke weed every now and then. I love a psychoactive. But alcohol was my issue.
For how long?
I mean, probably like 20.
So 20 to 27, you're this Hollywood actor. You're doing Scream 4, The Following, Younger, Make It or Break
Beautiful
It.
Life, yeah,
you're doing all these things. Mm-hmm. In Hollywood, you're an actor. You're going to events. You're going to all these parties. You're giving everything.
Alcohol, cocaine, everything is just thrown at you for free.
What was the scariest part in your addiction?
Just what I was doing to myself, like how I was hurting myself. I mean, there were a couple like benders that were really bad, and I thank God I never hurt anybody else, and I never jeopardized my work. Like nobody ever really knew what was happening. I like towards the end when it was getting bad, like I was by myself. I was by myself, locked in an apartment in New York City for days. I was like really, really hurting, and I think looking back in hindsight, it had a lot to do with my sexuality and my gender and like not being able to really like live to my fullest as who I was and who I loved or had the potential of loving.
I am so interested in this and I'm trying to become one of your sister wives at this point.
Yes.
You and Bethany have been together. Can you get that headshot ready? Because I'm about to give myself... You better cut this camera off before it turns into showtime. You have been with your primary partner, Bethany, for 12 years. Mm-hmm. You guys recently got married, and you were in a polyamorous relationship.
You know, we say 12 years. There were there have been a few like good chunks of years where we both were in very serious committed relationships with other people, but we have never stopped talking to each other.
So you were always tethered to one another?
Always, in one way or another, yeah.
Now, in a polyamorous relationship, just explain to me what it is. In your own experience.
The ability to hold space for more than one person at a time.
I'm a Scorpio, and the amount of jealousy I would feel, I don't think with another woman, but I think if you were with another man, that would get to me. Issue. How did you have that first conversation with your wife?
We met 12 years ago. I was a kid. I mean, I was 18 years old. She was 20. And we have been every iteration of a relationship in these 12 years. We have both like grown into our own queerness in these 12 years. And I think polyamory is like part of the queer family in one way or another, whether it's a straight polyamorous relationship or not. And I think ultimately we have been dating other people for the last like 10 years, right? At one point, we were just like, oh, this is a polyamorous relationship. Like, yes, we're dating other people, but we are still here as the primary relationship. And I think it took like some trial and error, really. I think that we have dated some people that didn't really understand how Bethany and I were still so close.
Yeah.
Bethany and I didn't really understand what it meant. From the podcast, from having this conversation publicly, like, we expanded our own education on the community as a whole and gender identity, and it just kind of like jumped at us.
Yeah.
You know?
So let's say you and I meet.
Yes.
We hit it off.
Yes.
There's sparks.
Yeah, you see the ring on my finger.
I see the ring on your finger. How do you explain that to me?
Yeah.
Preach it to me, because I am trying to wrap my head around this whole thing.
So what I say, hey, look, I'm married to my best friend. And navigating any sort of relationship outside of my marriage is going to be difficult. But it is going to be filled with honest, loving, nurturing communication and respect. And yes?
I want to feel like the main bitch, even though I know I'm not the main bitch.
Okay, well, you're never going to feel like the main bitch, because there is a main bitch. But you could be like another main bitch in a different way. I've known you now for a couple days. I've known her for 12 years.
Fair enough.
So if I'm dating you, I'm dating you. And Bethany is still my best friend, my forever partner, but I'm dating you. And then obviously the conversation about sex comes into play. Like, are you still sleeping with them?
Yes.
And how does that change our sexual relationship? And it's been different over the years. Sometimes I have been dating somebody and Bethany and I were still having sex. But Bethany and I went 2 years without ever sleeping together once. And I think it just depends on also who Bethany is with at the time.
If she's being fulfilled.
I mean, but like the sex that Bethany and I have is different than the new sex that I'm having, because we've been having sex for 12 years. There's
It's a much more intimate metaphysical connection.
Yes.
And what we would do would be nasty.
I mean,
it'd be nasty.
This would probably be nasty, yes. But like I've had that super physical relationship with somebody immediately. Like you just never know when you're gonna meet someone and it's just like you're in the stars already.
Yeah.
So navigating that conversation of, are you still sleeping with Bethany while we're still sleeping together? The answer is, I don't know yet. We haven't slept together yet. You know? and like only time will tell. But then the conversation of children comes into play.
Yes.
Bethany and I are planning on having children.
Which is perfect for me, because I always wanted stepchildren.
Great.
No, I'm getting where you're going, and it's giving me so much thought. Is this all in your book?
I found like my own God in this book.
Yeah.
Okay. All of it is you. Really celebrates this oneness, this divine frequency of love that unites all of us.
Yeah.
As human beings.
Yeah.
And non-human beings, like the dog here.
This man is deep, yo. This man is deep right here. It's funny because your character of Younger is kind of going through these, like, this emotional journey and accepting things and figuring things out. Are you bringing your personal life into this character? Are they writing it for you at this point?
Well, I think in one way or another that happens on any television show that lasts more than a couple seasons. The writers get to know the actors, and they start writing for, the players of the game. And Josh has always been close to my heart in terms of like how he expresses love. He's like a really watered down version of me. But, playing Josh on this show has really been one of the greatest privileges of my life.
Yeah.
People know me in one way or another as Josh, as this very white, very straight, very cis-passing dude. And so when I leave that show and I start having this conversation, it makes it so much more digestible, because they're like, oh, that guy, Josh, is allowed to talk like this.
Yeah. What does your family think about your openness and the journey that you have been on?
Or I know they haven't seen me like in this new light that I have created for myself. And for the most part, I would say they have been really positive in regards to like the messaging that I have right now of sexuality and gender. There are some super Republican conservative folk in my family that just don't understand what the I'm talking about half the time. And,
Same here.
And that's okay. Like it's intention.
But do you take blame for it? Because let me tell you this. I had to start to take blame for my mother and my family not being as supportive as I thought they should be. But I also realized that I haven't exposed them and I've hidden parts of my life from them. Mm-hmm. So I had to almost take blame for it. Have you had to do that within yourself lately?
I don't know if it's taking blame, but I think
responsibility. When I say blame,
yeah, I think that in essence is the idea of the book. All of it is you. All of it is me. That like this inherent homophobia or racism or transphobia that exists somewhere in my family is in part a piece of me, and it's not taking blame for that, but it's taking responsibility that this is where I have come from, and because I came from this place, I am able to speak the way that I am right now. And so it goes past blame, it goes past responsibility, and it lands in a space of gratitude, which is like the most incredible space to live when it comes to family. Because when I can look in my uncle's eyes and say, thank you for putting me through all of that because it brought me to where I am today, and I love you.
Can y'all get that wedding ring now? We're about to add a third to this mother.
Room, it goes
I'm about to lock it down over here. I'm about to lock it down. And our first date is when?
Right, we just had it.
Did we? Yeah, was it a good one?
It was good. Every interaction you ever have should always feel like a first date.
Congratulations on everything.
Thank you. You too.
For breaking the mold. But up. I like people
that's what being queer is. It's up. It's disrupting the system. It's not about what you have between your legs or who you're It's about disrupting the system.
Yes, but if you have something good between your legs, we're in.
I hate that. Whatever you got, I'm gonna ride that wave no matter what you got between your thighs.
Surfboard.
Surfboard.
Thirsty for more celeb news? Make sure you subscribe to the E! News YouTube channel so you can stay informed on all the breaking updates. Come on, you know you want to be the first to know about all the latest hookups, breakups, arrests, and so much more.